Just like guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, 105 in the Booking Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IA Newswire on Rumble. Voice is still raspy. I don't know, I don't feel bad. Just, the voice is going crazy here for the past couple of days, so you have to tread on with that. Man, the corruption, the fraud coming through all across from sea to shining sea, as they say. The breaking news we got this morning was they're from Minnesota, Minneapolis, which has been on the hot seat with the tampon Timmy, the retard Walls, and the whole crew, and the fraud, everything else. We'll get to some of that maybe when Susan Shelley comes on at the bottom of the hour. Some of the California fraud and things going. And we got lots of stories lined up for the rest of the week on that. So it's exploding all over the place. But it started breaking out here late morning. ICE agent had shot a woman in Minneapolis. And then the report started, of course, in today's market, where you have YouTubes and people with cell phones and everything. You're being monitored 24/7, 365, whether you like it or not. So there was film instantly, almost, it seems like, of the scene out there and what happened. It's a very, 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 very tragic situation when anyone dies. But this appears ICE was making a stop, looking, they've been sent in. Trump announcer and Kristi Noem, Homeland Security, have announced we're coming in. Minneapolis is our next target. Could be because of the fraud. Maybe they had it set up. Maybe it's a combination. Whatever. That's their job. Federal government is in charge of immigration and enforcement, and they have complete authority to do that in all 50 states. So this incident broke out. Here's the first filming of it in real time. Let's see if it will play. There you hear it. You see the ICE guy come up. And he asked what now is identified as a 37-year-old woman. One officer asked her to get out of the car. She didn't. He grabs the door handle. There was another ICE officer standing in front. It appears, and we've got angles, there's a good chance, but it appears that she rammed the officer in front, the one that fired the fatal shots from that on the woman. And there you see, that's in real time as we're showing you. So there's another, whoever was in there was screaming. Yes, that's whatever. I mean, I kind of get the reaction, the shock of seeing somebody shot like that. So here we go in slow motion on this particular incident. So here's the ICE officers. That's the first guy approaching the vehicle and asking her to get out of the vehicle. There is, or at least I haven't seen video of what the interaction commands were before this point. You heard some of the cell phone video. This is that same cell phone video blowed up and slowed down. So you can see that's where he's asking her again to get out of the vehicle. He has the door handle. She takes off. Now you can barely see. There you kind of see the man with the gun. The officer with the gun is right in front of the front fender, the headlight area. The gentleman who's grabbing the door is the one who's, he's shielding him most, but now you can see the outline of him a little bit. There you see his head just to the left of that. You see the first man with his sidearm, it appears. He's still with it. The other man looks like he has his gun out as she's making a right turn, or you see the car, the SUV's tires are turned to the right, like she's going to make an escape, which she does. There you see the gun come out, and he's pointing it at the windshield. He's standing in front of the car in the headlight area. So you see him, he's drawn, has a weapon. She continues to accelerate, disobeying the commands to get out of the vehicle. So this is my understanding. No lawyer will give legal advice. But when an officer stops you and gives you a command to get out of the vehicle, you are being detained. That means you are to obey the commands of the officer. If you do not obey the commands of the officer, things most likely are going to escalate. 99.999% of the time, they don't wind up with shooting. When a sworn officer is pointing a gun through the windshield at you, and you're commanded to get out of the vehicle, and you decide you're going to stomp on the gas because you're a 37-year-old woman and you can do what you want, well, you're not going to be able to do what you want anymore because you're dead. So let's peel this back up. Let's roll her again. He's up. He's got his 9mm 45, whatever, pointed out there. And there's a video later showing where the single bullet hole going right through the windshield, right in the driver's door. Here we go. So there you see it. Now the first man coming up to the door is blocking it. Now you see the gun. Just look right to the right. See the gun coming out and pointing at her. And looks like the shot is fired there. He gets out of the way. It appears he's been hit slightly, maybe not. But he's jumping out of the way or is bumped out of the way. And at that point, if she's already been hit, could be just that, the weight of her foot is still on the accelerator and she goes a few more feet. It appears there's the officer. There's the replay again. As the first video shows, she goes a few more feet and then the SUV stops. Here's another angle from ABC5 that has popped up on the scene, and it appears to show that the officer is getting bumped out of the way again. So here we go with this video. There you see him, and this is a little more blurry, but you see the officer just in front, just behind the fender, the driver's side fender of the silver SUV that's parked beside the one the woman was driving. So you see it, you see him shoot, see him how he gets pitched back, and it looks like the fender is kind of hitting him in the belly area right there. So you see it, it's going to hit him right in the belly, upper legs area. He gets out of the way, it's taking off, and there you go. You can see it makes it a few feet. She's dead at this point, and boom, crashes into parked cars, or, not conscious, let's put it that way, most likely, of that. So it appears he did, as Kristi Noem later said, HHS Secretary said, looks like a justified shooting. We'll get more into this here and catch some of the other stories. Of course, Susan Shelley will be on at the bottom of the hour. We'll delve more into the details of this in a second. Yes, we will. Some of the things that we have found interesting is the reaction of guys like Tampon Timmy Walls, Mayor Jacob Fry, Keith Ellison, and some of the things like that. The big one is Jacob Fry, the mayor, telling ICE to get the F out. These guys are causing the problem. The riotings that are going on in the street, the flag burning and stuff, we'll have some info on that here in a second. This is Mayor Jacob Fry of Minneapolis, Minnesota. You got some big problems in Minnie. The Somali fraud might be just a small part. Here we go.
To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite.
What the hell is this guy talking about? ICE, federal law enforcement officers, are making your city safer, trying to clean up the corruption you big a-hole, have created. You and Tampon Timmy Walls and Keith Ellison and the whole crew. You've been enabling them to rip us off. They think everybody's deal. And your way out of it is try to jack everybody up against law enforcement, against Trump, against ICE. Let's replay.
People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
I got a message for you, Jacob Fry. Get the F out of the USA. If you love Somalia or wherever or Venezuela so much, planes are going all the time. See ya, sayonara. We don't need pieces of shit like this in the United States. Especially being a mayor of a major city. You want to know how you got Mandami in New York? This is why. Buffoon Bass in LA, and the list goes on. Ass kissing, yoga pants wearing, gay boy looking pieces of crap. It's the way it is. Deal with reality, folks. We're not sugarcoating this crap anymore. Zero. If you can't handle the truth, maybe you need to get on the train with Jacob Fry and everybody else and get out of the US of A too. Because the kind of rhetoric, Tampon Timmy was on here, but, oh, it's Trump and we don't need him in our National Guard. We're going to have teachers and carpenters and stuff defend. Shut up. Because this is what's happening. George Floyd riots all over again.
Out now!
They're saying this, and the mob is there because Jacob Fry told him to be there. He said, get ICE out. Now you got threats going on. Wasn't bad enough. 30. You know, we told a 37-year-old mom that she could do this and get away with it. You can just run over the cops. If they're detaining you, just screw them. We don't need to obey the law. This is the kind of crap that's going on in your communities. Every day, lock, stock, and barrel. It's beyond a Greek tragedy. Here's the Fox News report. Here we go.
They are throwing snowballs as the officers are leaving. So again, I believe it was a state patrol, and we did see some MPD officers who were leaving that scene. Hennepin County telling us that their sheriff's deputies have not been on that scene, but it looks like as officers are leaving the scene, just.
So now they're throwing, that's the state police of tampon Timmy the retard Walls. They're throwing, after he's going to protect you, his people, Jacob Fry's people, Keith Ellison's people, that they have instructed to throw snowballs and stuff at the cops. This is what you got going on. Minneapolis is a mess. Here's the latest report.
Against fraud. The performance audit shows the Behavioral Health Administration sent millions of dollars out the door in grants without making proper checks into who was receiving them. And that is not even the most jaw-dropping finding. Lou Raguse has tonight's top story. Lou?
Julie, according to the nonpartisan legislative auditor, this is another case of mismanagement of taxpayer money. But perhaps the most explosive revelation is that managers within DHS, the Department of Human Services, tried to cover their tracks by backdating and creating new documents.
I do want to talk about what a serious issue this is and how it is, frankly, unacceptable.
Another sobering report by the Office of the Legislative Auditor, this one concerning the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants to providers treating mental health and drug and alcohol addiction, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The audit found them issuing grants to applicants without a bidding process.
So what we saw is that there was multiple entities that could have been eligible, and they chose not to provide a justification for why they were picking those.
This report is quite stunning.
One outrageous example, the auditors found a grantee that was paid $672,000 for 1 month of work without any info on what they do. And the audit says the grant manager who paid it then left DHS a couple days later and became a paid consultant for that company.
To me, that's criminal.
No kidding. The list goes on. There are congressional hearings today. Tom Emmer from Minnesota. Jim Jordan. Here's Jim Jordan from Ohio at the congressional hearings. If that wasn't enough, Legislative Analyst's Office in Minnesota, tampon Timmy. And jack off Jacob Fry.
When I talked about not just overlooking it, there was a meeting that took place between the Attorney General and affiliates of Feeding Our Future. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what happened at that meeting? Do we know?
Yeah, we do, because we have it on tape. There was an audio recording made at that meeting that was entered into evidence in the Feeding Our Future trial, and it was later revealed through work from Center of the American Experiment, the full recording. And my observations of what took place in that meeting was that Attorney General Keith Ellison was focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was keeping these folks in business. There were no questions that he asked of these folks about how the kids are doing, the operation, how they're getting fed, who's being helped. Instead, the focus was entirely on ensuring that the money continues to flow. And I'll add that he went so far as to say that he was going to fight these people in reference to the state agencies. The state agencies are his client.
Yeah, and when you said money's going to flow, did money flow to Mr. Ellison's campaign a couple weeks later from some of the folks who were in that meeting?
Sure did.
How much, do we know how much that was?
I do not have that number.
Campaign Keith Ellison, Attorney General of Minnesota. Remember George Floyd deal and the whole thing in the amount of corruption that's being discovered is absolutely hair-raising. Get to Tom Emmer, congressman from Minnesota. In a second, here's a Fox News report.
Now they're looking at the state's Attorney General, Keith Ellison. Why? Because the state's top cop here in Minnesota was caught in an audio recording behind closed doors, meeting with a group of soon-to-be convicted Somali fraudsters. They were asking the Attorney General for help to get more funding. Listen to this.
The only way we can protect what we have is by inserting ourselves into the political arena, putting our votes where it needs to be, but most importantly, putting our dollars in the right place and supporting candidates that will fight to protect our interests.
That's right.
You can only protect our interests when we have your back, and you don't have to worry about who's behind you.
And also this group was talking about, as you heard there, supporting his campaign. So Keith Ellison is pushing back on this. He said that he takes fraud seriously. He shared in an op-ed writing this: I took a meeting in good faith with people I didn't know, and some turned out to have done some bad things. I did nothing for them, and I took nothing from them. But some of those now convicted Somali fraudsters did donate money to Ellison's campaign, according to documents obtained by the Center for the American Experiment.
So, oh yeah, I need the bucks, and they come in. How many favors do you do for others that weren't on this whole thing? It's absolutely 1,000% sickening. Keith Ellison's out there denying it. Here's Tom Emmer at the House hearings.
Thank you, Chairman Comer, for holding this important hearing. As I said on Monday, good riddance to Governor Walz, but he cannot escape accountability for the estimated $9 billion in fraud. How did this happen? And where the hell has the Twin Cities media been? The Star Tribune is complicit. They have had this story for years, if you just heard, and they've refused to report anything on it. In fact, they continue to try and cover up. Our Minnesota Republican colleagues have demanded answers and accountability for years, but have seen nothing from Walz, his administration, our Democrat colleagues like Tina Smith, Amy Klobuchar, Ilhan Omar, and Angie Craig, or the worthless Star Tribune. Thank God for President Donald J. Trump for finally bringing attention to this issue.
10-4. Hallelujah. Dancing in the streets. There's a whole list of Democrats. Amy Klobuchar, who almost was vice president until Slow Joe picked Comrade Kamala. To Omar, to jack off Jacob Fry, tampon Timmy the retard Walz, Omar, and everyone else. And I'm no big Republican fan, as most of you know that watch me. Where's the Republicans that are in on this?
Representative Rarick, I'm going to begin with you. You've been working on this issue for years. You've spoken to the whistleblowers personally. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have an understanding that 1,000 whistleblowers running an account on X have come forward to expose fraud in Minnesota state agencies, and they have been entirely ignored by Tim Walz and have even been retaliated against. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Even this morning, I got another message.
Well,
up to today. Hey, there's fraud going on. People on the inside working for the governor. Tampon Timmy the retard Walz. You have fraud going on here. Here is the evidence. No, there's none here. Keith Ellison. No, in fact, we're gonna get these. Who are they? We're gonna retaliate against them. taking away their pay. It's been testified, taking away their pay, threatening their, and if you don't comply, even if you quit, you won't get unemployment. We will crush you. That's Tampon Timmy, the retard Walls. Was no, and everybody, oh, he's such a nice man. Keith Ellison is black. Jack-off Jacob Pry speaks Somalian. Oh, what a good guy he is. Doesn't he care? Yeah, he will carry you right into the frickin' ground and then piss on you while your bones rot.
In your experience, are their claims credible or are they politically motivated against Walls?
They're completely credible, not politically motivated.
Completely credible. She didn't even hesitate. Said some more of these.
Without knowing. There was a hearing in the state regarding the fraudulent housing stabilization program, but before that hearing, Governor Walz fired the official who was slated to testify so that they could not testify and expose what was happening under Governor Walz's watch. Has Governor Walz or Attorney General Ellison fired anyone else to your knowledge, Representative?
Not to my knowledge, and that was Eric Rumdahl, and his administration believes that he was not fired, but I say he was fired because it was too convenient.
Right.
So there you go. That was a signal. The reason nobody else was because everybody else either shut the hell up or got the hell out of there quietly. Because if not, you were going to be made an example on by that nice little praying, and all that, and prancing all over Tampon Timmy, the retard Walls. That's your Tampon Timmy. That's your nice guy.
Representative Hudson, is it true that 90% of the individuals charged, regardless of what your colleague on the panel just said with his facts and figures, 90% of the individuals charged or indicted with the $250 million Feeding Our Future COVID fraud are of Somali descent?
I believe that to be correct.
250 million again of the Somali COVID fraud? How deep does this go? Holy Moses. I don't think we can dig to hell and back. As bad as this thing is.
Are you aware that in a 2021 video, Mr. Ellison promised that he would obstruct his own agencies in their investigation of Somali fraud?
I am very much aware of that.
It's no wonder that criminals in the Somali community felt they were free to steal taxpayer dollars. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Marion. Do you have any doubt that Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
None whatsoever.
Walz and Ellison were protecting fraudsters instead of investigating them, and it was purposeful. And it's no coincidence that this is occurring largely in the Somali community. Walz made a sanctuary state, Minnesota, a sanctuary state. He gave free health care, free college, and free licenses to illegals. And Walz looked the other way when Somali immigrants were stealing. Representative Robbins, do you have any doubt that Tim Walz knew about this fraud as it was occurring?
None whatsoever.
So all three of you have no doubt in your minds that Tim Walz knew about the $9 billion of fraud during his tenure as governor and did nothing about it. It looks like my time is about to expire, and I do want to say to all of you, on behalf of Minnesota, thank you for being here, and justice will be served.
Let's hope so. Tampon Timmy, the retard Walz, Keith Ellison, Jack-off Jacob Fry. They all need to be perp walked immediately. The investigation should be swift. The indictment should be coming in tomorrow. The incarcerations next week. That's what we want.
40 seconds, 40 seconds.
We don't want to be putting up with any of this crap. We are not going to put up with this crap anymore. Zero, zip, nada. You're joining the Mighty McKamey in a few seconds. Hopefully Susan Shelley will call in. We'll pick up on this and some of the other stuff going on in our great land. It's, wow, what? 2026, I said, get your badass on. It's going to be a wild ride. No doubt about that. I think the way we're starting it off, I think we're just going up the roller coaster ride. We haven't even begun.
5 seconds. Here we go.
Phone app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky side guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience and UFB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice, shining, smiling face, even though my voice is going to hell in a handbasket. I don't know why. I don't feel bad. Just the past couple days, I don't know. We got the gravelly sound like I've been smoking 3 packs a day for 26 years. Voice going on. Hopefully it starts straightening out as we go on later in the week. Man, the whole Somali deal, the ICE agent shooting this 37-year-old chick that thinks because I'm 37 and I'm a little missy, you can't touch me. I can just run over the cops, which appears what has happened. Well, she ain't going to do that no more because she's dead on the door now. We ran, if you want to go out and you're on KMET or something, go to IE Newswire. You can see, on our platforms, you can see we broke it down. We got 2 different angles and slow motion, enhanced views of that, of exactly how and what we have the evidence of what transpired on that, on top of Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota. The corruption and fraud that we have going on is, I don't even know, I don't think anybody even has a grasp of how deep this stuff is coming in. That's why I say get your badass on in 2026. I mean, we're just starting, I think, up the long climb of the roller coaster. And man, when we cut loose on the other end, I think it's going to be Katie bar the door. There's corruption going on again from LA to Minnesota to New York and all points in between. We pointed that out. And it's just been, it's like one after another. And now it's coming that we ran the clips from Jim Jordan at the House hearings and Tom Emmer. People in their own legislature, politicos, are saying, yeah, Keith Ellison, Tampon Timmy the retard Wallace, they knew what was going on. They knew this was happening.
Susan is on the phone. I can tell you.
They facilitated that. And it's absolutely 1,000%. Again, I think this is just the very beginning. But, as Jesse said, we usually have on a Wednesday the famed editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redland Daily Facts, more important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Are you coming down with a cold? You sound,
I mean, I don't feel bad. It's just the past couple of days, my voice has just been like I've been smoking 3 packs of Camel and filters like my late grandfather used to do every day. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel bad. I don't have a runny nose or nothing. It's just my throat's not sore. It's just, I don't know. Maybe people are going to get their wish. Maybe I'm just going to permanently lose my voice, and boy, they'll probably they'll probably
prescribe a cup of tea and you'll be fine.
I'm sure there are a lot of people that would declare that a national holiday. But no, what do you think about it? We broke down. We had 2 different angles of the tapes on this ICE shooting in Minnesota from the ICE officer. It appears the lady was detained. She was asked to get out of the car. She didn't. She puts it in gear. There's an officer standing in front of her pointing a gun. she decides, and it appears, we don't know, it appears she hit him. As he's shooting at her, he pitches him out of the way. She's obviously dead, goes in and crashes, into the cars or whatever. But, call me hard-hearted, but you don't obey cops' orders when you are being detained, the situation's going to escalate. And I'll guarantee you this, little Missy ain't going to do this again, Susan Shelley.
No, she's not. But, I feel bad for everybody involved in this because it's clear that in Minnesota, the public officials are smearing law enforcement officers. We just saw what happened at the hotel in Minnesota where they refused the reservations. The Hilton Hampton Inn refused the reservations, canceled the reservations of federal government employees based on their email addresses having .gov. And, we don't want your kind around here. And then Hilton pulled the franchise from that hotel. These things are not happening in isolation. There is an active effort by the Democrats who run Minnesota to demonize the federal officials who are there to enforce immigration law. And this kind of thing is going to cause people to make really bad decisions, like canceling the reservations, like trying to run down an officer with your car, as if you're in a video game. This is going to cause stupid people to make bad decisions and suffer terrible consequences.
You got the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, saying, F the ICE, get them out of here. Now they're beating on, they're beating on the looks like a shopping center or something, saying, ICE, get out of here. I don't know what, maybe it was that hotel or something. I don't know where they were at. But burning flags and everything else, they're inciting this, like Buffoon Bass down in L.A. with the rhetoric down there. Get them out with all this. Mm-hmm. You're going to get, you're 111% right. Our officials who are in charge of keeping the safety actually inciting insurrection, riots. I mean, the perp walks, I mean, that was great. Maduro and all that, great. Tampon Timmy Walsh, Jacob Fry, Bass, Gavin Newsom, the whole lot of them need to face justice because we had the congressional hearings of Emmer and stuff like that. And one after one, Ellison, Tampon Timmy, they all knew. They knew what was going on. They were facilitating it, Susan.
Well, it's terrible that elected officials who swear an oath to uphold the Constitution are doing this because they have a responsibility not to do this and to calm these situations and not to inflame emotions against federal law enforcement. They have a responsibility and a sworn oath in their office. This is not somebody who's a stand-up comedian saying it on the stage at the Improv. This is a person who is in government, who has a responsibility for public safety, and they cannot be doing this. Now, there is no way to enforce these consequences against them because they have freedom of speech and they can say these things, sliming these hardworking Americans who work for the federal government law enforcement branches. They can say it, but it's terribly irresponsible and it's going to get innocent people injured and killed. And it already is doing that. And I don't know how anyone can get through to them. Clearly there's more here than just politics. Somebody's getting very rich off of this illegal immigration funnel into our social welfare programs. Clearly, this business of giving billions of dollars to NGOs to give to illegal immigrants to help them resettle or whatever it is they're calling it, clearly there's a lot of people making bank on this. And they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep it going. And President Trump is fighting very hard to stop it. Guess who's going to win that fight? It's going to be President Trump. And guess what the Supreme Court just did? They said that the president can't put the National Guard in the streets. They said essentially that he has to invoke the Insurrection Act because that is an exception to the posse comitatus that says you can't have the military in the streets enforcing law. If you invoke the Insurrection Act, which he has an undisputed right and power to do, he can send the Marines. He can send airborne troops. He can send anybody he wants from the regular military into the streets. That's what these people are are flirting with when they're getting people killed with their rhetoric.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't like the National Guard in there. How would you like the Marines, the Air Force, the Army, Special Forces, and everything else? Like they went in there and did what everybody said was no other nation could do, like pulling off the slick move they did on capturing Maduro. I mean, you want those guys in your community, Jacob and Tampon Timmy and Keith Ellison, because that's what you keep doing. And, you know, him saying, oh, we got the National Guard that are construction workers and teachers and stuff. They are there for as a backup last resort status. You're refusing help from trained professionals that know how to do this. This is what's so upside down about this, Susan. Did we lose Susan? Oh, I think we lost Susan. It's absolutely 1,000%. It's 100.
You can't lock them up for what?
There you go. Oh, I almost had her.
I'm working on it. Hold on.
You got it. It's absolutely 1,000% just off the charts stupidity we're doing. And again, I agree. They are flirting with disaster. If Trump puts the Insurrection Act in, and they roll through this, they think the National Guard was that. They ain't seen nothing yet. And you know what? Trump's got just about as much enough guts to do that. If we've had a president that you push his back against the wall like this, he would be the one to do it. And that's what we're all striving. That's what we're looking for. That's what we voted for. We don't want this. We're not having this type of stuff anymore. It's absolutely 100% incredulous. We got Susan back? I guess not.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We picked up with Trump coming in with the Insurrection Act. They said, they didn't like the National Guard in there. You want the U.S. military and all that in your area, Keith, Jacob, and Timmy, Susan.
You're absolutely right. They're not going to like it. They're not going to like it when President Trump makes an announcement that nobody is going to put federal law enforcement troops in harm's way. And when those officers come to town, they will be protected. And if it has to be the Marines, it's going to be the Marines.
It's 1,000%. Shifting gears, you're talking about fraud. Let's get it back to California and that. Your latest column, Rocket Fuel for Fraud, the High Cost of the COVID Pandemic, Susan Shelley.
Well, I saw what was going on in Minnesota, and I looked at how they were pulling the money out of these programs. And the way they were doing it, based on the documents from court filings, because there have been prosecutions already over this, they sign people up for benefits, and then they bill for services that are not provided to them. So, for example, if people are going into a low-rent apartment, you can be $100 a month rent, it doesn't matter, but then you can get Medicaid health benefits for services provided to them because they're low income. The invoices were completely fake, and the services were never provided. And if that doesn't sound like what's been going on in our homelessness situation in California, I don't know what does. You have all these people who are signed up on the street, and then somebody's billing for services. All these NGOs, all these different healthcare providers, they're all billing for services. Were they actually provided? Is it all fraud? We don't know, but we do know that when investigators and auditors have looked at this, every time they come back with the same report. We don't have a good paper trail of what was provided or who was paid or what happened to the money. And it just sounds exactly like that. What has happened here is that during the COVID pandemic, all of the identity verification, eligibility verification, basic fiscal controls were wiped away because it was an emergency. And they had to get the money out to people who needed it. And they never put them all back. And as a result, we've seen more fraud in these programs We have seen money just going out by billions of dollars and disappearing. And, the federal government is coming to town. President Trump has said he's going to crack down on California, and they're sending everybody in. And when the IRS criminal investigators get here, it's going to be fireworks because they know where to look for where this money was transferred and where it went. This is going to be epic. I think it's all going to wind up with handcuffs, frankly, in Los Angeles and in Sacramento.
I sure hope so. Bill Asaley's come out yesterday and said, "Hey, we're the indictments on the vagrant housing and stuff. That's just we got much more coming in the pipeline." I hope he's not whistling Dixie. And if I know Bill as well as I do, I'm sure he's not. I think they're coming. I think we're coming. I think we're 2026. I said, get your badass on. We're in for a heck of a ride here. Like I said, I think we're just on the roller coaster going up. We ain't even close to the crest before we go downhill. And that's what we need. And this is more importantly, I believe, this is what the people voted for, Susan.
Oh, it sure is. I know I did. I voted to clean all of this up. I am so tired of seeing every ballot with 10 different requests for tax increases or fee increases, or seeing all of your city services get more expensive while all the services get worse in quality. Whether it's water or it's power or it's parks or libraries, everything's getting worse, and all they want is more tax money. Where is the money going? And if we find out that it's going to these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, to go take care of people, and the people it's taking care of are the salesmen at the Porsche dealership, we have a problem. This has got to stop. There's too much fraud. There's too much waste. Even the California State Auditor has identified 8 separate programs that are high risk for fraud, abuse, waste, mismanagement, inefficiency. The list goes on and on. And one of them is the CalFresh program, food assistance, where they're not verifying eligibility. And another problem, similarly, is Medi-Cal, where they're not verifying eligibility adequately. And that can cut both ways. People who are eligible or should be eligible may not be getting benefits that they're supposed to get, and people who are not supposed to get benefits are looting the system. So something's got to give here. California is not well run. Gavin Newsom's done an appalling job as governor. The budget has roughly tripled, I think, since he's been in office. It's just terrible what he's done to this state. And the ongoing waste, the ongoing fraud, it has to stop. We have to have a competent governor with good ideas and the willingness to do hard things to get this state back on track.
This cracks me up because Gavin Newsom's quoted today, or at least I saw it, that, he'll work with Trump. Trump just needs to tell him where the fraud's at, and he'll help him find it. Well, you don't have to ask Trump, Gavin. Just ask our own state agencies are telling you almost practically every day where it's at. Trump doesn't even have to. If you want to find the fraud, just dial up some of your employees in the California state, and they are telling you where you don't even have to tell. You don't even have to try. You could actually take the credit for getting it out of here if you would actually do the job we elected you to do, Gavin, Susan.
Well, yes, if he wants to find the fraud, he could start with his former chief of staff who's been arrested for it. So this is not exactly, he's not a stranger to it. He should be seeing it all around him.
1,000%. Your other column, Trump's first year back was a victory for America. I say 111%, Susan Shelley.
It was a great first year. And what people may not even realize is that the president's 4-year term is really sometimes just 1 year. Because after the first year, we're into election season, as we are right now. And then it's hard to get anything big done through the Congress because all you can really do is run for office. That's all they're doing. After the midterm elections, the whole country's looking toward the next presidential election, and the president's increasingly a lame duck. So the first year counts. Well, what did he get done? He got done a lot. For one thing, at the top of my list was nobody's talking about a military draft, which they were. Just a year and a half ago, it was in the national conversation that we might have to go to a military draft because recruitment was terrible and there were hot spots everywhere. Well, recruitment beat it was the best in 15 years, according to the Pentagon, and they met or exceeded all their targets in all the services. So the draft's off the table, and the hot spots, well, they're all cooled down now. The Ukraine-Russia war is still happening, but not for lack of trying on the part of the president. I've lost count of how many meetings he's had to solve those problems. So there's that. And then there's the energy policy, where he's put abundance back as the goal of our energy instead of nonsense wind and solar. So that's been excellent, and gas prices coming down across the country as a result. He just did something spectacular in Venezuela, removing a threat. So overall, it's been a great run for President Trump, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for a first year. He got the tax cuts renewed. He has gone after the permanent bureaucracy. Overall, it's been an outstanding first year, and who knows, maybe he can get even more done.
I agree with you 111%. And I know there's a lot of nattering nabobs of negativism out there in this set, and I get it. You know, people expect things to be done. You snap your fingers and things happen overnight. But, you know, when as deep as, and I didn't, you know, I suspected it was bad. I didn't even fathom the amount that we've just seen here in the last 2 weeks coming out of the fraud and deceit and it's just absolute. I mean, corruption and fraud, really, we need to start coming up with some new adjectives or terms for this stuff because they're not strong enough, I don't believe, to describe what's been actually going on.
Yeah, it's been bad, and it has to get cleaned up because it's going to bankrupt all of us. We have so much money coming into the Treasury at the state and federal level, and yet, where is it going? We have just big problems with government programs being looted by criminals. And some of those criminals, I think, are in public office, and they have to go. Political machines very often end in handcuffs. They don't continue forever. And one of the things that knocks them out is a pair of handcuffs and an indictment. And that, I think, is what's going to happen to the California political machine. I think it's on its last legs.
I hope you're 111% right on that. We got about a minute left. Tell them why they should join HJTA Go.
The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is the best organization in California fighting for you in the courts, in the legislature, on the ballot. And right now we have an initiative. We're collecting signatures to protect Prop 13 because the courts have been attacking it, and by the time they're finished, there'll be nothing left. So we have to put a stop to it with the Save Prop 13 initiative, which closes some of these loopholes. Go to saveprop13.com, saveprop13.com. Get the petition. We'll mail it to you, or you can print it right there at your own home computer. One sheet of letter-sized paper is all you need. Print the petition, fill it out, sign it, mail it back. We have another 6 weeks to get another 500,000 signatures. We need everybody on board telling everyone they know to go to saveprop13.com. And join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. Strengthen your voice in California at hjta.org.
Thanks for being on, Susan. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks so much, Roy. Feel better.
You got it. Susan Shelley, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and columnist extraordinaire for Southern California News Group. I guess it's imperative, maybe, that we do get our badass on in 2026, because people are just not going to roll over easy. Susan said it. They're not going to give up the grass. They've been making millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions from all sorts of people, organizations, other countries, cartels, the list goes on. And they're not going to give up that graft easily. And especially if they think they're going to face prosecution, then they're really going to try to hide, cover up, everything that's going on. And it's been we have allowed this to go on for so long. that it's going to take a while to clean it up if we do. And we only got two choices. We either fix this stuff now, or we're going to crash the whole thing like Venezuela did. And then it's going to take you another 10 or 20 or 50 years to get it back. And I certainly don't want to get in that situation. And I would think the 37-year-old who lost her life today, I would have hoped she would have realized that. She probably didn't, and that's why she thought empowered. All this stuff empowers people like that to do things that they normally wouldn't do, or they shouldn't do. And this is where we've gone wrong in this whole situation, I believe. Because there's not much difference in, or fleeting, let's put it that way. It's fleeting, the time of prosperity versus that. Again, using the roller coaster example, it takes a long time to build, 250 years to build the greatest country in the history of the world. You get on top of that roller coaster, and once you let go, man, this boom, it's like, whew, feels like milliseconds before you're at the bottom and going 90 miles an hour. And that's how hard, when it crashes, it's like the roller coaster going from the top to the bottom. And it doesn't take, we could lose all this, and you could wake up tomorrow and the electricity's not on. And there's no food in the grocery stores. And there's no gas at the gas station. You don't care if you got a $250,000 Lamborghini. You don't got no fuel to run it. It's a moon rock. If there's no electricity, you're not going to be looking at the 3x5 screen. It's going to be dead. You're going to have to learn to fend for yourself. That's the crossroads. That's what we're looking at. That's why I say you better get your badass on now and fix this. I demand that it fix. Get in the trenches and help fix it. Before the runaway train is too far gone and it crashes and burns. That'll do it for today. We usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 23 hours wide for the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right. Have a great night.
You got it.